everybody. Hey, thank you for coming. We'll begin with some opening remarks from Mike, and then questions, please. Mike, go ahead.
Yeah, likewise, thanks for being here today. Obviously not a day that we would have preferred to have happen, but we are where we are. And I'll just start by saying that at this point, for all of us here at Purdue Athletics, our goal is moving forward in the most effective, efficient, and expeditious way possible to restore Purdue football to the level of success that we all expect, aspire to, and know that we're capable of. You know, we're 2 years removed from playing in the Big Ten championship game. Obviously, the last 2 years, for a variety of reasons, have not gone really at any level the way that we would prefer them to. But you can't go back in time and fix that now. All we can do is fix going forward, and that is absolutely the #1 objective. Incredibly appreciative of our fan base and their undying support. Our attendance this year, I think, was the highest since 2005. The stadium is amazing each and every game day, and that will be certainly part of the solution going forward. Maintaining that support, continuing that great belief in Purdue will be something that will matter as we move forward here. I'll also tell you that we are committed, I said this yesterday, to providing a football program and a football performance that is worthy of our fans' support. This place deserves that. There's a great tradition here. There's so much pride in our program. So many people have invested so much in Purdue football over the years, and we want to honor that by our actions going forward, and we certainly fully intend to. We are well positioned to land a terrific new head coach, and are working diligently and have been working diligently to that end, and on we go from there. So without anything else, I think let's go to the questions here.
Hey Mike, I guess just at what point did you determine you had to make a change?
So obviously the evaluation was ongoing. It's the job is to try to look under the hood and determine whether the foundation is solid, whether or not we can actually see a path forward to success, because that's ultimately what we want to do, is have a successful program that touches, it hits on all cylinders basically. As we got down the stretch of the season, and I don't know if I have a day, Nathan, that I can tell you, but it got to the point where I just no longer had the confidence that we could turn this thing around. The tidal wave of negative events and poor performances became overwhelming to the point where, I'm not sure it's fair to the program, it's fair to Purdue, it's fair to the young men in that locker room, or even the coaching staff to try to fight through the circumstances as they evolve. So I don't know that I have a day, but it was within the last several weeks that it just became clear that this is just not going to be turnable under the current conditions.
What's the timeline right now that you would like to make this hire?
Obviously as quickly as possible. We all know the calendar and what's in front of us from a transfer portal date, from an early sign date, all of that. But you can't rush to it. We want to make sure that we're deliberate and we identify and focus on the very best candidate going forward. My guess is that would take a week, 10 days, something like that at the outside. But again, that's just all dependent on circumstances. Right now it's a little bit like air traffic control. There's a lot of inbound, a lot of outbound. There's just a lot going on at this moment. But that's the way these things work.
Had you been laying the groundwork for that in the background in the last few weeks?
Yeah, of course, and that's the job. I mean, it's been sort of a parallel path of, okay, how do we, if we continue and stay the course, how do you support the current staff and add to that and build strength around the current situation. So we've been working to that end, but also obviously doing a lot of background, a lot of research on the other option, which was clearly a possibility.
Who is handling, I guess, the day-to-day football operations right now, including retention of players, finishing this recruiting class? I know negotiations had already been going on with current players as far as, so who's handling that right now?
Right now we still have, everybody's still employed at this point in time other than Coach Walters. We have player personnel staff, we have a general manager, we have people that are in place to do so, and others in our department. Tiffany Grimes, our sport administrator for football, will also be part of all that, but there have been conversations underway, yes.
So Ryan was the only one who's been let go. Everybody else else is still.
Yeah, everybody else has the option. Now, some likely will have made a decision to move on already, and that's okay. That's just part of it.
So the same administrators who conducted the last search, yourself and other people, are the ones who are going to be making this hire.
Yeah.
There's a portion of the fan base, I think, that is skeptical about that, just considering how these last 2 years went. I guess
Of course.
just what's your response to that? Why will this search be better? Why will this end better than the last one did?
Sure. You know what? If you do this long enough, and I've done it for 40 plus years, every once in a while you take an L, and things just don't work out the way you'd like to think they were going to. You know, I think if people would go back and look a little bit, I haven't missed on everyone that I've done over the course of my career in a variety of sports and situations. So I get it. I understand that's what fans do, and I appreciate that, and I don't begrudge them that. But I can tell you that we'll be very effective and efficient, and lots of research has already been done to that end, and I'm very confident where we'll land.
Exams.
So at what point did you start building a list? When did you know that this was something you had to be prepared for?
Again, I don't recall dates, Brian, to be honest
Like
with you. But
weeks?
yeah,
Months?
weeks. We have weeks, more than weeks. You know, that's the job, is to understand what the possibilities and options might be, have background information prepared, have a sense of direction in the event that you land here, and here we are. And so it wasn't as if yesterday, like, oh my gosh, we have a search now. Like, we need to start thinking about it. That's not how you do these things.
Does some of the
Particularly in this situation where, you know, we had an existing coach that was struggling. You know, our program was struggling. That's just a fact of life. So given those circumstances, you do more work, you do more preparation in the event that you have to make a change.
does the experience of the last 2 years shape what you look for now in terms of experience, in terms of offensive background, things like that? Some of the things that, you know, Ryan
Sure.
wasn't.
Sure. I think it's a natural phenomenon that when you go in a certain direction, you hire a very strong and successful coordinator, and it doesn't work, that you then are naturally thinking about, well, maybe the profile needs to be different. Maybe we need an experienced head coach or somebody that's done it before. And that's, I think the best answer that I can give you is, at the end of the day, we're going to look for the very best fit for our circumstances today, the person that we believe can most quickly and directly bring Purdue football back to a winning situation, that understands the current landscape, which is going to be different. I mean, it's not, 2025 will be different than it's ever been in the history of college football. The last 2 years, actually the last 2.5 to 3 years, with the NIL world, the way it evolved, were very different. And honestly, that world did not advantage Purdue. That was a challenge for us for a variety of reasons. Our folks don't necessarily respond warmly to the way NIL evolved in the recent past, but that's going to change as we move forward. And I think that will bring the world back to us in a very positive way, but you need a coach that understands that, and that embraces that, and understands that the new world is going to require a new way of thinking, and you can't dislike the way things have evolved, because they have evolved, and you've got to be able to thrive in that and find a way to be successful. And I'm certain that we have candidates that are exactly fit that profile.
That's precisely my next question. What's your presentation to your candidates to come in terms of what Purdue's going to provide from a revenue sharing perspective, and what this job is exactly going to look like?
Sure, and I would say, in a very general sense, this is a really good job. Doesn't mean it's an easy job. Those are two different things. I mean, but it is a very good job. It will be a very well resourced position. We will participate fully in the revenue share situation. That is a commitment that Purdue has made, and we intend to provide our coaches. Obviously, we're talking about football today, with a very much a level playing field with the people they're competing against from a revenue share perspective. So that will be very positive. And we already bring a tremendous set of facilities. We bring a great fan base. We bring tradition of success. Again, history of doing really good things in football, putting guys in the NFL. All of that is here. A great community. So I believe it's a very, very attractive job. Now, we're in the Big Ten. Big Ten is 18 teams. There are no easy ones. That's just a fact of life. So you have to be willing, and eyes wide open, be up to that challenge as a coach. But I know there are those folks out there that will do so and be willing to take that on, because we do provide tremendous opportunity.
Just one last thing for me. What will the coalition look like that goes out and looks for this new coach? Will you use a search firm? Will the trustees be involved with Mike on his way out and things like that?
Yeah, trustees and President Chang will absolutely be involved. Football's it's a big piece of the university. It's a very visible piece of the university, and certainly will have the leadership will be involved. They have been involved in multiple conversations to this point in time, and they've been incredibly supportive. So I look forward to their continued involvement. I didn't touch on you asked a question about would we go back to an offensive-minded coach, et cetera. We're going to go back to a winning coach is what we're going to go back to. I think you can do that in a lot of different ways. If you look at the best teams around the country right now, the profiles are across the board. You have to be good on offense, on defense, and really sound in the special team. You can't miss on any one of those. There's maybe one school in the country that's figured out a different formula in our league, and it's because the coach is uniquely talented and experienced. Iowa tends to be good in 2 of the 3 every year, and if they win a bunch of 13 to 10s and 10 to 7s, that's unique. That's a unicorn. We're going to try to find somebody that wherever they come back, wherever their background primarily is from. I know, again, those coaches are out there.
Search firm?
Yeah, for background stuff, but not, they're not running the search. That's for us to do.
Thank you.
Mike, you mentioned the importance of NIL.
Yep.
How much pressure do you feel in that regard to make this move now?
This is going to be the most unique player movement period in the history of college football because of the roster limits that are coming into place and lots of other elements, the advent of revenue sharing and all of that. It's going to be a very interesting time, and by now, do you mean like just?
Do you feel pressure from the board and then from the big donors to make a switch now?
No, the switch now was made because I just didn't see a path forward any further. I just didn't feel like we had a chance to turn this thing back into a successful direction in any reasonable time frame. I thought the negative energy had become so much around our program that the only way forward was to make a change, and that's where we are. Again, I think we'll have every opportunity to make the staff decisions, the roster decisions, and roster movement that need to happen in order for the program to return to success. If we execute a hire here in the next 7 to 10 days, I think we'll be well positioned to do all that. We're working hard to have conversations, as Nathan asked earlier, with players that are important to us going forward. But that being said, it probably won't be a clean sweep. That the world is what the world is. Lots of people are in young people's ears these days, and they're all young men. They get a chance to make their decisions. They know how we feel about them, the ones that are really important, and we'll work through that as best we can.
How much did Saturday's result play into the decision you ultimately had to make yesterday?
It was 0.
And then did you address the team yourself yesterday?
Yes.
What did you say to them to try to keep this thing moving along as smoothly as possible?
Sure. I'm glad you asked that, Sam. What gets lost in this and in the whole decision making is that you've got 120 young guys in that locker room that need stability. They need a sense of direction. They need a sense of, hey, this is a place that I'm going to be taken care of, and so try to convey that to them yesterday. That none of us are happy about where we are. The season clearly didn't go to expectations. I told them that I believe that in that room there's more talent than we had in terms of performance this year. That our goal will be going forward to have this be the very last season that we ever experienced that feels anything like this one, and that our goal would be to go find a head coach that's able and capable of quickly assembling a staff, assembling a set of strategies and schemes, and coaching them to a place of success, and give them the experience that they deserve here at Purdue, and that we encourage them to drown out the noise here in the short run, and by short run I literally mean 7 to 10 days, whatever it takes to execute the search successfully, but to take a deep breath and not to make any rash decisions, to let it play out a little bit, and then make an informed choice and decision when the time comes.
Mike, where did you tell Ryan the news, and what was his reaction to you?
In my office yesterday. His reaction was professional, disappointed, honestly apologetic for not having been able to do a better job and to deliver on what we all expected to have happen. But he handled himself very, very well, as did the rest of the entire staff when I met with him later on.
Why do you think it didn't work for him?
It's a great question. I have, obviously, I think we all have spent countless moments and hours and days and observations trying to figure that out. It's it's not just a one-person thing. Obviously, the head coach is critical, but it takes football is a complicated and sort of very multifaceted organization. Lots of pieces, lots of moving parts, and I think we had some things that worked well. I think other things just weren't up to the standard that it takes to be successful in the Big Ten and the level of competition that we were playing. And for whatever reason, the whole never became greater than the sum of the parts. And that's hard to put a finger on. But clearly, we got no traction. We couldn't string together good possessions. We never played football in a complementary way. We'd have a decent defensive stand, and then we'd go out and 3 and out, or we drive the ball down the field and either score a touchdown or kick a field goal, and then we get run over on defense. We just couldn't string together good quality execution. And at the end of the day, this is the ultimate game of execution. If you can't execute consistently, you're going to end up where we ended up this year, and that is a huge focus going forward.
Can you give any range or idea of the type of salary you can pay a guy, and not just the head coach, but the staff?
We're going to pay what we need to pay in order to get the very best head coach and the very best staff. It's going to be what it takes.
Do you know what name of the search firm is you're going to use?
No, we're working through all that.
And will there still be a place in the future for a collective like the Boilermaker Alliance, the revenue sharing era?
In the short run, there absolutely is. The Alliance has been important to us, and I'm very appreciative of the work that group has put forth on behalf of not just football, but other sports here at Purdue. But in the short run, yeah, we're going to have this period of time between January or between today and June 30th of 2025, where the Alliance is going to be very important. So having support, generating support to allow us to sort of bridge that period of time before the revenue sharing world kicks in on July 1 is really important. What the Alliance will look like after that point probably will morph into something different. I don't think the philanthropic side will exist after July 1. I don't think it will need to, but there still will be a need to develop true NIL deals, true market-based, market value NIL, and that will be either through the Alliance or through some other entity that we'll establish, but we're working through all that right now.
We saw Stanford hire Andrew Luck for the GM spot.
Yep.
Who had a GM? How do you envision that GM spot looking in the future? Is that something you're sort of trying to move?
We have a person in a role right now that's that general manager. So we have had somebody in the last couple of years function in a general manager role. I think as we move into the revenue sharing role, that role does change to some extent. As you think about it, you probably don't want involved in those conversations. You probably want a general manager type to be the one talking to players' families about what their particular arrangements might be. The head coach probably wants to be removed from that. I think just for to provide a different type of relationship with the coach and the players. So that type of role will be even more important as we go forward into this new world. So how that specifically looks here at Purdue will be something that we'll work together with our new head coach to shape that and put together something that makes sense for Purdue. But we will have whatever resources we need in terms of personnel to execute in the new world.
Last questions, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up on your answer to Tom about why it didn't work with Ryan, because
Yeah.
as you were listing things there, it sounded like you were maybe getting into just infrastructure things or
Yeah.
support things. Have you already made decisions on altering any of those things, making any of those, specifically what's going to be more robust, or what's going to change
Sure.
for the next regime?
Sure, I think, one of the things that I think Ryan has done actually, that is unseen and unfortunately didn't produce results, is really help us build out infrastructure around our program. So it's really not, it wasn't as much that as it was to my eyes, and again, I'm not trying to put blame on anybody. I mean, again, I can't go back and fix what it is. And to try and figure out exactly who to blame or how to blame things, isn't very productive. But I don't think the staff ever clicked. I mean, I don't think we ever had a cohesive situation. And then obviously this year, when we had to make a change in offensive coordinator early in the year, you then take the head coach, who is much more of a defensive-oriented guy, away from his strength and plant him over on the offensive side, because we literally didn't have a better option at that point in time, which again is an issue. I mean, the fact that we didn't have enough strength in and across the staff to say, if we make a change with Graham Harrell, here's the obvious next choice to step up. That person didn't exist, and that's on, that's a weakness that was exposed, and we suffered from that. I think the rest of the year we were sort of trying to play, stick our finger in the dike here and there, and it never worked. So the overall strength of our staff, and I don't want, I'm not trying to belittle any of those guys. They're all really good people, but it just didn't collectively work. It just never fit together in a way that was effective and allowed us to execute well, to have the schemes that look sound. It just sort of came apart right before our eyes as the year went on, and that's obvious to everybody. And that's it. The other question that I know people ask, well, why didn't you do this earlier? Well, first of all, there would have been no advantage gained by making any active decision earlier. And secondarily, as I referred back to earlier, you've got 120 young guys in that locker room that deserve stability. And the incredible thing about this year, regardless of the absolutely dismal competitive success, is the locker room never came apart. I mean, it never became a place of finger pointing and backbiting and all the things that, again, having been in this a long time, I've seen it go other ways. And that's a tribute to sort of the character of the young men in our locker room, the character of the people on the coaching staff, that they kept our guys in a as positive place as you possibly could be, and they deserve that. To have made a change in the middle of the year, first of all, you can't go hire a coach in the middle of the year. No coach is going to leave their program in the middle of the year and come. And if you don't have a clear, better option in the building, you just have to ride it out. And that wasn't fun. It wasn't fun for anybody. I mean, we all acknowledge that. But it was in our judgment, it was the most rational and reasonable course of action in the best interest of the young guys in our locker room, which again gets lost in a lot of this these days.
One more from Brian.
With that said, how important now as you look at potential candidates is that their ability to bring staff, but now in this new world also have players with them?
Yes and yes. All of that would certainly be a plus if we're able to move in that direction. That will be part of the consideration as we evaluate candidates. Who's in the best position to have sort of a quick and positive impact, understanding that we're not trying to have a great team next year. We're trying to build a great program that's going to be sustainably successful. But having some immediate success matters these days. We all get that. We all understand that. We're going to work hard to land in that place.
Thank you, everybody.